I think this time in my sewing room I have created something very reminiscent of a school jumper. This is a hashtag a different view, where I go through trying a different view of some of my patterns that I've used over and over again, just one view. Made these trousers a couple of times, always wanted to have a go at this, and I finally have, but I think I have what looks like a school jumper. So my name is Carole. Welcome to my sewing room for another challenge I've set myself. And this time round it is using my tried and tested patterns, or tried and true, but trying a different view, because a lot of us have patterns with multiple views, and in cases like this it's trousers and tops that we may have only used the pattern for, say, trousers or the top, and I'm trying to go through and see what other patterns I do have. This was one I wanted to try for a while, and I will admit the big four have done it in classic style again and made that completely underwhelming. However, I have had success with the trousers, but I do want to talk about the trousers a little bit as well, because you will know that I love simplicity trousers, but these are not as good as some of the other ones that I have sewn. So I'll talk to you a bit about that, but of course what we're here for is talking about this. Now, it's a very basic top. Let's face it, it's very basic. It is meant to be a woven pattern. I went a bit off the wall actually, and I decided to make it in a knit. Now, I don't like reading all the backs of patterns, but I just wanted to let you know that certainly knit was never mentioned in this, because it can get a bit boring when you read the fabrics over and over. But say batik, chambray, cotton, lawn, cotton types, linen type shirtings, no mention of knits or jerseys. But the thing is, although I did have some lawns and things like that in my wardrobe, I know if I made a top like that, I wouldn't wear it. And I wanted to try this for the shape to see if it could lend itself to like a jersey top or almost like a sweatshirt using French terry. So I did have a remnant piece of burgundy French terry, luckily quite wide, only 1 metre long, and I thought I'm going to give it a go. It's going to come out kind of red looking like that anyway, so I knew what I was going to end up with. But I thought if I went for a size down, then surely knit will be fine. And in actual fact, it is. But I did only have 1 metre, and these are full length sleeves. So that's where it got a little bit complicated. Now, the pattern itself has 2 back pieces, and obviously you've got the little join there. Now, most patterns I very rarely do that, because if you put a button at the top, I found my hair being this sort of length just tangles around it, so I very rarely do that. So I cut it on the fold. So we're talking super basic now, aren't we? Front and back, cut on the fold, and 2 sleeves. But I didn't have enough fabric to do the sleeves, so this is typical. So I ended up having to, luckily, as I said, it was a wide piece, and this is only 1 metre. I managed to get, the front and back on the fold, and then I have centre bit down the middle. So I folded that in half and made the sleeves as long as I could get them. Luckily, of course, where you've got the front and back, I did have a chunk of fabric either side, so I knew I was going to be able to do some kind of arm wristband. So that was all about the pattern. Obviously meant for wovens, meant to have bias binding. I put in just a normal knit t-shirt binding. I made cuffs. It's just meant to have a deep hem. I didn't do that. So it leads you to think, why did I even bother doing this? I just wanted to see the shape. I wanted to see if it had possibilities. The only thing I don't like about it, and I must start to concentrate a bit more, it's got this slightly off the shoulder. So it's not on the shoulder, it's not sort of dropped down, it's that off look, which can look, I don't know if you can see it much on her, can look as if you've just made something that doesn't fit you quite right. That's enough talking about it. Let's actually see my finished product, which does look like a school jumper. And the reason I say that is because both my children went to a school with burgundy sweatshirt jumpers with a tree on top. So here we have the finished garment, and I promise, as always, I will put footage in the garden of me wearing it. So because it was so plain, I thought I'd put a design on using my Brother embroidery machine. I chose a tree. Now this is coming out that it's red. It isn't red. It is kind of sort of blending with this colour. I didn't want anything to stand out too much because then that's too restrictive of what else you're wearing. So I thought I'd put, but I loved this tree. But then I realised, of course, it does make it look like a school emblem. But it is pretty. As you can see, it's got little flowers on, little blossom tree. That, with the proper colours, as it should have, is actually really pretty, so I will need to use it. But here we go. So, front and back, square hem. I did do a nice deep hem, did the cover stitch, and I ended up with these quite deep cuffs. So that was as much as I had, and that actually has made it really nice. I always like a knitted cuff rather than just kind of the seam on the bottom. There's something snuggly and cosy about a knitted cuff. Now, because the sleeves are quite wide, these aren't as brought in, sort of as gathered as they would do normally, that I would do. But to try and make sure it looked like a detail that was meant to be there, I did top stitch it down. I also, as you can see, I didn't bind the neckline this time because I actually used my cover stitch to do this, actually attach the binding this time, because again, it's giving it a bit of detail, because let's not mess around with words. It is a very boring top, but you could dress it up, and it is a beautiful colour, and in fact it's a really nice piece of French terry. Bought it locally just as a remnant in a basket. It's really nice. It's a very fine loop back. I like it, and I think I'm going to get loads and loads of wear from it. It feels super soft. It's a good colour. Going through to autumn, it's lovely. It's just quite plain, so I've got to make sure I've got something like this over the top of it to break it up and not make it look a bit like a school jumper. I do like it. It is successful, but as I said, it's just coming off my shoulders, which is where it's meant to be. But to me, it just makes it look like you haven't fitted it to your shoulders. Now, I talked about sizing. I actually, obviously, this is a mummy and me type pattern, isn't it? So I use the Mrs. size extra small, which is meant to be a 6 to 8. Well, I'm a 10, 12. But the finished garment measurement on the bust was 36.5, and I'm a 32. So I thought, I'm not going to go any bigger, especially as I was using a knit. In actual fact, it's worked out just right, hasn't it? So that's really good. I don't think I would risk a 6 to 8 in a woven. Absolutely not. And I did something I've never done before, actually. I always cut my pattern pieces out. I just go for it. I mean, I managed to get big full patterns for around £5–6, so I just go for it. But this time round, because I'm cutting the smallest size, if you're cutting, say, the second size in or the third size in, you have always got that bit extra, haven't you? You can see where, say, 1 centimetre away is the next size, or 2 centimetres away. But if you're cutting the smallest piece, then you don't know, say, if you want to up the next size, where you need to go, whether 1 centimetre or whatever. So I actually kept, and now I normally throw this away, I actually kept the rest of the pattern. Sorry, I know everybody hates rustling. So, like, this is the sleeve, as you can see. So if I was so, say, inclined, I could actually stick all this back on if I wanted to go a size bigger. But what I would probably do is just refer to that and then just cut that bit wider, because it does vary in patterns, as you can see. So that's probably about 1 centimetre different. But it does vary, and especially on sort of curves under the arms, that's where it goes narrow, doesn't it? So I did keep that this time round as a kind of a reminder. If I want to go a bit bigger, if I wanted to do a woven, then I could use that rather than just throw it away as I do normally. Let me talk to you about the trousers. Now, they are very reminiscent of lots of pairs of Simplicity trousers, where you've got the pocket, a waistband, and I've grabbed my ultimate favourite, 8841, which just fits beautifully. These don't fit as well, and it's really interesting because they are, I suppose, what do we call them? They're almost low rise. So these are high rise, they're probably mid rise, aren't they? So that's when high rise jeans or trousers, when it actually comes up to your waist, where all trousers used to end up. Mid rise obviously sort of cuts across the belly button, I would say, and obviously low rise is just ridiculous. I mean, you've got to be very thin or very young to be wearing those. Trousers I have made out, I do wear them, but they're not as comfortable, say, as any of these that I've made. There's a new look pattern that is very, very similar to this one. I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but again, it's a pattern that I love. I will put the number down below. But I'll just show you the two trouser pattern pieces. So this is where it's going to go wrong. I can see exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the wrong pattern pieces back in the wrong envelope. So I'm going to have my wits about me. So these are the two back pieces. So I'm comparing 8841 with 9121, and they are pretty much identical, aren't they? They are, apart from having the notches cut in a different place. But this is where it gets mysterious, because this 9121 doesn't fit me as well as the others. They come up lower rise. Now, the sizes I've cut are more or less the same. One's an 8, one's a small. But even so, there's something about it. As you can see, the two pieces there, they're not quite the same. You think they're the same, but in actual fact, the 8841 is slightly longer, whereas the 91 is just slightly shorter. And it's something about the way the legs are cut as well. It just isn't as comfortable and doesn't fit me as well. It's very interesting, isn't it? Now, I do like this because of the pattern pocket, but that's easy. You can do that anyway. But it's just something away. This one is cut. This one's kind of more straight. This is cut slightly more. The crotch is slightly more on an angle. Something about it, but just definitely something to be wary of, that for me that likes the high rise, this one's not quite as good as that one. Just thought I'd bring that to your attention, in case somebody says, oh, Simplicity trousers don't fit me, because they're not all cut the same. So I think that's all I can say. Quite a quick video today, but we have one top to show you. I'm really enjoying this challenge I've set myself. If you've enjoyed this video, then I will put a link to the other couple of different views I've done. All in all, I think it's been a success. I've definitely learned a lot. And I know I've tried, it's almost like having 3 more patterns, having bought 3 more patterns that I've tried, new patterns. I would heavily encourage anyone to have a go at this. It could even be that you try a top and then you just do a different sleeve or something like that. And certainly that's kind of what I'm thinking about for my next one. But I have found another pattern that I can use, possibly with woven, but I would say I would keep that to a knit. And it isn't a very stretchy knit. If you did it in something like a viscose knit, viscose jersey, then you might have been a disaster. But quite a stable knit like the French terry works. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. And if you enjoyed this video, please just hit the like button. That would be super. So all that's left for me to say is I will hopefully see you on #FridaySews. Or if you want to see me challenge myself in something else, then try the #FabricWheel of Fate. Thank you again. Have a wonderful week, everybody, and just keep sewing.